Hey there everyone, welcome back to another episode of Diablo 4. I'm Captain Beefy. This is the Game Vault. We're going to talk about the new patch that just came out today. So let's cue up the music and we'll get right to it. Alright, so here it is, Diablo 4 patch notes. The Diablo 4 team has been diligently monitoring your feedback as we introduce patches to keep your experience in Sanctuary smooth. We will update the below list and denote whether the fixes are intended for PC, Xbox, PlayStation, or all platforms. So there's a lot to go over. We're not going to cover it all, but I will put a link in the description to this so you can peruse it at your leisure. But there are tons of bug fixes going on that affect various dungeons, events, and other activities. Some of them look like they were pretty much game-breaking from time to time, and some of them were just annoying. Then you got some great gameplay fixes mixed in as well, including fixing an issue where Insatiable Fury and Mad Wolf's Glee items prevented druids from transforming into werebear and werewolf forms. That would aggravate, me quite a bit. Fix an issue where barbarian players would get stuck between bone walls after using charge. Fix an issue where players could move in-game during the leave game countdown. Yeah, lots of that. Some local co-op issues were fixed. A lot of quest issues. The UI was tweaked quite a bit. A lot of things with town progress portal bars. Socket buttons would persist. Just a lot of stuff like that in the UI. But this isn't the stuff that we really want to talk about today. We want to get down to the good stuff, the meat and potatoes, and that's down below a little bit. Now I've also got some miscellaneous adjustments that were done, but where the real impact hits is here in the gameplay. So let's take a look at these adjustment experience rewards. Significantly increase the experience awarded for completing Nightmare Dungeons. Wow. That's going to be good. Significantly increase the experience gained from killing monsters in Nightmare Dungeons. Another huge boost. Between those two, doing Nightmare Dungeons, it's going to be even better than it was before. Can't wait for that. Helltide Chest now provides substantially more bonus experience when open. I love Helltide events, so that's going to be a nice thing to have. As you open those chests, more experience. More experience across the board is great. I'm on World Tier 4 now and I'm loving it. Significantly increased rewarded experience from completing individual whispers across the board. I do a lot of whispers. Fixed an issue where no experience was awarded for completing the holdout style event that can occur after finishing dungeon objectives. So I'm not 100% sure what that one's addressing. I'm thinking, and I could be wrong, but I'm thinking like after you finish the first objective in a dungeon, whether it be, collect all the stuff from, whatever, you get to this one little room that you enter it and then it kind of seals you off, right? And you've got to fight waves of enemies. Well, you weren't getting any XP for that, and you weren't getting any gold dropped, and you weren't getting any item drops. I wonder if that's been fixed too. But at least if they're giving you the XP for doing that, that's going to be a huge help on dungeons, both regular and Nightmare. So I'm hoping that's what that is. We'll see when I get to play through finally. If that's the case, then Nightmare Dungeons just got a lot beefier. Next thing up, the Helltide roaming bosses will now more consistently drop higher quality loot. That's great. I haven't really had a chance to fight one of those guys yet. The only time I've ever come across them, I was alone and I got my ass handed to me and lost half of my half of my loot that I was getting there, so that sucked. Players can now teleport to their Nightmare Dungeon directly through the map. That's beautiful. So that's going to speed things up too. Nightmare Dungeons really got a big buff today, and I'm looking forward to getting into one and giving it a try and seeing what's up with that. And the weekly bonus caches from world bosses no longer have a level requirement for opening. I just did a world boss on tier 4 yesterday at level 72, and it dropped me a cache that required me to be level 80 to open it, so that kind of sucked. I wasn't able to open it. I did look. I can open it now, so even if you've got existing ones of these, you can now touch them, you can now open them up and get the loot out of them, which is fantastic. Developers note, we're currently working on increasing the monster and elite density of endgame content and plan to introduce this change early in Season 1. This will have another positive impact on dungeons in general and Nightmare Dungeons in particular. One thing I've noticed doing World Tier 4 Nightmare Dungeons is it's either feast or famine. I'm either having 0 elites or I'm having 20 of them in a row and it's killing me. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that goes. Some balance changes. Developers notes, we're continuing our efforts to make all class builds feel fun and powerful with another round of balance updates. In particular, we've seen community-based feedback stating that basic skills aren't impactful enough in combat. These changes will not change the fundamental relationship between basic skills and core skills, but we hope that they help smooth out the leveling experience while we explore additional ways to strengthen them. We are also increasing the power of some skills that players feel are lagging behind their peers. As we look forward to future updates, we're monitoring other heavily discussed topics such as minion, survivability, and build parity. Please keep sending us your feedback, and we'll see you in Sanctuary. So I got to hand it to Blizzard. It sounds like they're listening to the community. They're reading what we're tweeting to them or what we're writing in their forums or on their Discord. Maybe they're watching some of the videos some of these big guys are producing and listening to what they're saying. And that's great. So that bodes well for the future of the game. I know there have been a lot of people on both sides of the coin. Some people are loving the game. I'm loving the game, but I'm not level 80 yet. So I haven't hit that proverbial level 80 wall that I hear so much about where players are hitting it. So now we're going to have some fun. All 5 classes have some major changes to them, and these changes are not nerfs but buffs. So everybody's getting bigger, fatter, hitting harder, living longer, all that kind of fun stuff. Everything from basic skills to items and equipment and aspects are getting buffs, which is great. And as you look through these, you're going to see some of them are incremental, and some of them are pretty big. 20% increase on Leap from 50 to 70% on the Mighty Leap Slope. That's huge. Legendary aspects. The difference at level was 820 power. Bull Kathos' Earthquake increases from 1747 to 3404 to 2687 to 3717 damage. So, that's pretty nice, especially on the bottom end of it. You're going up 900 on the bottom end. You're only going up 300 on the top end, but still, that's awesome. So that just shows you an example of, you look at it's 0.39 to 0.76 to 0.6 to 0.83, but those are the percentages, but the flat numbers is what's really making a difference there. So, yeah, Hellhammer, 0.3 to 0.5, changing to 0.6 to 0.8, almost double. Not quite on the dot. It seems to be the buffs are bigger on the bottom end and not as big on the top end, and that's fine because that's going to help you level up, get stronger, and get better. Let's look at the Druid. I'm playing a Druid now for my my walkthrough of the main game, and it's been a lot of fun. But again, we're seeing buffs across the board, small ones here and there, big ones. Sometimes spirit generation is being increased by 1. Sometimes base damage is being increased by a couple percentage points. Cooldowns are having a few seconds knocked off here and there, which can make a huge difference. Look at a ferocious Wolfpack lucky hit chance gone from 10 to 40%. That's pretty big. Look at a Hurricane base damage increased from 97.5% to 134%. That's big. Rabies base poisoning goes from 53 to 76%. Yeah, it's just all across the board. Even the passes are getting some bumps, and then you got, again, some legendary aspects. Runeworker's Conduit, flat damage increased from 1 to 1.4, so, 40% more damage. Mangled, cooldown decreased on Seismic Shift. Blurred Beast damage increase. Nice. Looking at our friend the Necromancer, who I just started playing around with a little bit. I do have all 5 characters I'm running right now in various series for the channel, and just for fun. The Necromancer's just for fun, but I'm noticing Bone Spear didn't get any buffs, but everything around it pretty much did. Bone Prison, Bone Splinters, the Blood Lance, Corpse Tendrils, Bone spikes base damage increased from 80 to 120%. It's 50% more. Yikes. Raised skeleton and golem minions will now always engage targets with a cast curse. So if you curse a target, it looks like your minions are going to attack it. That's one thing that aggravates me about the skeletons is, you know, you have them hanging out with you. You engage in battle and you see a big bear, and then you see a bunch of little bats, and the skeletons are all fighting the bats while the big bear's running at you, wanting to slice your face off with his, you know, make you look like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant. Not cool, guys. So if I can curse the bear now, it looks like my minions will engage him and help soften him up a little bit for me. That's why they're there. They're minions. They die for me, right? Looks like some passive effects got some bumps as well. Kalen's Edict, Rathma's Vigor, Spiked Armor. Pretty nice all around. And legendary aspects, Bursting Bone, Flesh Rending, and Frost Blood all got bumps, whether it be cooldowns or essence increases and flat damage increases, which is great. So we'll take a look at the Rogue next. I am doing a run through with the Rogue for my videos that address the casual player, and it looks like we got some great stuff there. Twisting Blades, I noticed, didn't get any bumps, but it looks like most of the bumps here are going away from the melee build and leaning more heavily into the ranged build, you know, with stuff like Rain of Arrows getting a bump, which is cool, because I don't think a lot of people were playing the Rogue with the bow as much as they were with the blades. So it'd be kind of neat. Maybe we'll see a little parity here in the builds. We'll see maybe, you know, the Twisting Blades will still do well, but somebody's going to come up with a great bow build now, maybe, and a great ranged build, which is kind of cool. The passive Close Quarter Combat did get a buff from 20 to 30%, which will help the Twisted Blades, you know, the melee builds, and that's cool. Escape Artist cooldown dropped from 100 seconds to 45. Wow. Eyes in the Dark increased. Death Trap cooldown reduced from 30 to 15% to 20 to 15%. Okay. And finally, the Sorcerer. This is my bread and butter. This is the character that I love and I've been running from day one. The Frostbolt, I'm doing a completely frost-built character, so the base damage increases 3%. All the Incinerate and Fireball doesn't help me out much. I don't use Frozen Orb, even though I probably should, but I'm trying to do stuff a little differently. Blizzard is my bread and butter, 120 to 130%, so it did get a 10% buff, which is nice. And I do use Ice Blades. I don't use it enough. I need to incorporate that more into my combat, but increases the a chance to apply vulnerable effect from 30 to 40%, which is pretty sweet. Lightning Spear got some bombs. Crackling Energy, Freezing Wake base damage increased from 60 to 110%. And then, of course, we got some legendary aspects that got bumps as well. Chance to chain an additional enemy goes from 20 to 30 to 30 to 40%. Singed Extremities got a little buff. Incendiary, chance to restore mana went up. Snow Guards, damage reduction increased. And concentration mana regeneration increased. I'm going to have to look for one of those aspects to put on, because I do have a mana issue from time to time, so it'd be nice to have 10% more mana being regenerated. Flame Scar and Staff of Lam Eason both got buffs. Those are items, the legendary items that you can find, or unique items, I should say, not legendary. So yeah, a lot of big changes here. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Is this going to change the meta of the game at all? Is it going to change your build and the way you play? Or are you going to try out a character that you haven't tried before? If you found this video useful at all, please leave a like on it down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. I thank you for joining me today. As always, I'm Captain Beefy. This is the Game Vault. I'll see you next time. Until then, peace.